Hello and welcome to Center Circle. This is a podcast about soccer, aka football, aka football, aka the beautiful game, and all things related to it. I am your host, Alex McIntyre, and welcome to episode 5 of the podcast. Last episode, we reviewed the semifinal round of the World Cup, and even though this episode is a little bit late, sorry about that, today we're going to wrap up the game coverage of the tournament with a look back at the final and also the third place match, which was surprisingly incredible. Who would have thought? So, without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, the final. So here we are, the World Cup final 2026. Argentina versus Spain. The modern GOAT, greatest of all time, Lionel Messi, age 39, maybe his last go-round at the World Cup, versus the baby he may have accidentally anointed as his successor during a UNICEF calendar shoot in 2007 and is now 19, aka Lamine Yamal. Magical momentum shifts versus possession and control. The reigning World Cup champs and Copa America winners versus the reigning European champions. It's the kind of big game you love to see it on the biggest stage. There's a lot of deserving teams. You know, France, England were playing the third place game. A lot of good teams fell by the wayside or by the metaphorical sword for Spain and Argentina to get to this last game. Such is the way of international soccer, and such is the way of the World Cup. It was a fun game to watch, for me at least. I was rooting for Spain, mostly because I've always liked the way that they play, partially because Argentina has sort of become the Kansas City Chiefs of international soccer, kind of the anime villains of this World Cup arc. And you kind of had to wonder, could anyone actually prevent them from beating the odds again and winning it again? But yeah, I thought that was a fascinating game to watch. I was at home watching with my parents, and I know we were all animated and yelling at the screen and running around watching the game in the living room. But when I wasn't pointing wildly at the screen where players couldn't see an open pass that they could have made, I was taking some notes, and there was a lot to keep track of in this game from a details perspective. I mean, right from the start of the game, you could see Spain were playing a lot through the middle and out to the wings, a lot of like the precise passing that they're known for, trying to unlock Lamine Yamal on the right wing and Alex McIntyre on the left wing. There was some like cautious pressing and pressure from both teams, trying to, especially at the beginning of the game, trying to unbalance the other team and not give them too much time on the ball. Right away from the beginning, just like in the semifinal round, the Argentinian defenders and forwards, honestly, were having a real ball out there, just two-hand pushing people off the ball, and got away with it a lot of the time. Spain had a lot of like quick passing sequences once they started to push forward, but also some scary mistakes at the back that they were able to clean up. Unai Simon he's very lucky that he's very good with the ball at his feet, because there were a couple times where he came running way outside of his box to try to clean something up. And it's if you're on the field and that you see your goalkeeper doing that, it's scary, much less, being a fan. Rodri for Spain, he's holding down that central midfield spot. He looks like prime Sergio Busquets, controlling the game out there. Yeah, my dad and I were talking about Lamine Yamal as he was playing, especially in the beginning of the game. He had some chances for shots and crosses, and he just seemed like he was playing the ball a little bit too soft. But he still looks like he's having fun out there. One of the reasons to really like that kid. At some point, Spain looked half asleep, but as the half wore on, they were getting more and more control. Argentina were getting more and more direct, just kind of skipping the midfield entirely to try to do something with the ball, because as the half wore on, Spain started squeezing possession, and Argentina was just not really getting any dangerous chances to start that game. Quick intermission here to talk about the halftime show, because it's so funny that, first off, this is the first halftime show at a World Cup ever. Normally, halftime for soccer games is 15 minutes. It's like that for just about any game that's played professionally at the top levels. This time around, it was half an hour, because I guess FIFA was like, oh, this is America, or we could make some more money. And yeah, let's have a 30-minute break, have a halftime show out there at MetLife Stadium. I thought it was, so, I mean, as somebody who's used to Super Bowl halftime shows, it was fine, if not a little bit confusing. I'm a big Coldplay fan personally, and I know Chris Martin was like curating the performers/performances for this, so I have a little bit of a positive bias on it. Obviously, Shakira still got it. Can't take anything away from her. Still doesn't top the Waka Waka World Cup era of Shakira, but I thought this year's song with Burna Boy was it's fun. It's a bop. It's cool. Very confused that Justin Bieber was playing a kind of slow acoustic guitar song in the middle of it. That was kind of weird. BTS is BTS, obviously. On the whole, fun, lots of colors. Not sure why we had it, except for the fact that it probably made some people a lot of money. So there's that halftime rant over. Heading into the second half, so one of the Argentinian players got hurt in the first half. I think it was maybe the left back for Argentina. And coming out of the half, Argentina went ahead and used their second sub. They could feel that the game momentum was not on their side. They were doing a lot, what I would describe as like some cynical play. They were defending a lot of the time, an accumulation of what you might call unsportsmanlike conduct in defense, and then Spain just looking more and more dangerous. And the thing about Spain is that they just make it look so easy with the way that both individually and as a team, they have control under pressure and can get the ball out and not like be freaking out that somebody's on their back. You would expect that from a professional, but Spain just takes it to like a whole nother level. I mean, by the 70th minute, Argentina had used up all their subs, just, trying to throw everything at the wall to try to get something out of the game. Spain were cranking up control and the pressure and making Argentina chase the game while it was 0-0. And it's kind of incredible that Spain didn't convert any of their chances in the sort of regulation time of the game. They had 13 shots to Argentina's 0. Messi barely got on the ball, wasn't able to have that much of an effect for Argentina. Meanwhile, on the other end, Spain were putting shot after shot down. Emi Martinez for Argentina had an incredible game and goal, must have made like 9, 10, 11 saves. He was maybe the sole reason that Argentina was still in that game. For Spain, on the substitution side, Nico Williams and Pedri both made a noticeable difference coming in as subs. They brought a lot of energy. I have in my notes here, in all caps, quote, "How are you not scoring?" Which I think was how I was feeling about that game. There was the well-deserved second yellow card for Enzo Fernandez, which I think you could have been fine giving that a straight red for that crazy challenge on Paul Cupresi. Just ran straight through the guy and then was yelling and confused that that he was receiving a card for completely flipping a guy 360 degrees in the air. I don't know, but he's out of the game. We go into extra time. By extra time, Spain had 15 shots to Argentina's 0. How are they going to handle extra time? Up a man. Really solid chance for Spain in the 95th minute. That was called back for a foul. I think it was Marino that it looked like he barely stepped on Otamendi's foot in the box in the run-up to the goal that Nico Williams scored. They reviewed it, VAR. They called it a no goal. But you could call it soft. I mean, he did step on the guy's foot. I think Otamendi sold it. Either way, no goal there. They keep playing. But Spain had chance after chance after chance, and they either didn't take good chances or Emi Martinez made a really good save. And Spain finally stopped playing around coming out of the extra time break. Right away in the 106th minute, fantastic strength and placement from Nico Williams on a header back towards Ferran Torres, and he just smashed into the back of the net. Real pretty stuff. It was a long time coming, but they finally got their goal. Argentina still had trouble getting on the ball until that second period of extra time. Spain was closing down space in midfield and defense. They work really hard in that sort of way, in a way that I wish other teams would, looking at you, Atlanta United. But Spain does it almost perfectly. And then Argentina finished out the game, finally having some sustained pressure, putting balls into the box, being dangerous. Lionel Messi finally got into the game a little bit, but They only managed a couple of shots and a couple of close chances, and Spain came out on top as, I think, well-deserved winners and 2026 World Cup champions with that 1-0 win. So congratulations to Spain for pretty much bossing that game from start to finish and somehow only winning 1-0. So by winning this World Cup, this is the first time that the reigning Women's World Cup winners and Men's World Cup winners are from the same country, which is kind of crazy. The Spanish women's side winning in 2023, they won that World Cup. Spain is also the reigning gold medalist of the men's Olympic soccer tournament. So Spain just having a period of complete domination in the global game, which I think that domination was really present in this game versus Argentina. I mean, Spain made Argentina look bad, and Argentina didn't necessarily look like completely good throughout the rest of the tournament, but they, always had their chances. They managed to get Messi the ball. They managed to be dangerous a lot of the time, and they would ratchet up their pressure throughout games in order to, get the goals they needed to oftentimes come back or battle back and win. But Spain made Argentina look like they were not a good team in this game, and Spain completely earned that. Argentina, though, didn't really cover themselves in glory in this game. They didn't register a single shot until late in the second period of extra time. They came away with 6 yellow cards, could have been way more. 1 red card during the game, that was Angel Fernandez. A red card and some post-match disciplinary action for attacking and punching Spanish players after the game. Not great stuff. They may have to look in the mirror a little bit after that one. But Spain, they came away with the win. Unai Simon wins Golden Glove for best goalkeeper in the tournament. Center back Pau Cubarsí wins the FIFA Young Player Award, and midfield general and captain Rodri wins the Golden Ball for the tournament's best player. Well deserved all around. Really good stuff from Spain this tournament. Dominated this game and came away with a well deserved win. The refereeing situation in this game I thought was interesting. I feel like the ref let some big calls go early. I'm not normally I'm not really in on the conspiracy so much that Messi has the refs in his pocket, but there were some soft calls with him involved in this game. Argentina got away with a lot of yellow card worthy fouls all game, a lot of two-man pushes, a lot of blatant shirt pulls that weren't necessarily called. By the second hydration break in the second half, you could feel the game kind of unraveling a little bit. Leandro Paredes should have had at least 4 yellow cards, and I think he was the player that was red carded after the game. Ferran Torres got robbed of a second goal where he was barely offsides. I've talked about my feelings on VAR enough at this point. At the end of the day, we tend to remember the games themselves and how they made us feel on the highlights more so than refereeing decisions, but I have a feeling we'll be talking about the refereeing from this World Cup for a good while to come. I don't know. We'll see. But shout out to Spain. Congratulations to them. Lamine Yamal, I think, has a really bright future ahead of him as future star of this Spanish team. Lamine Yamal's little brother, Kane, has won the hearts and minds of the internet at this point. Such a cute kid. The kid's only 3 years old, by the way. If he becomes a soccer player, I think he will definitely be a star in his own right. Nico Williams coming back from injury, looked good off the bench. Obviously, Rodri, Pedri, all those guys in midfield made a big difference. Spain doesn't have a star striker like a lot of other teams have, but their system is so good that turns out you didn't really need it. You just need to be solid as a unit. And that's how you win games. That's all for the recap on the final itself. Up next, in part 2, have to talk about this third place game between England and France. So before we talk about this third place game, I have to get a couple things out of the way. For those of you who don't regularly tune in to the World Cup or the Men's World Cup, third place games are usually easy to write off, nothing to see here. We don't even really remember that they happen most of the time kind of games. Not sure who's playing in them, not sure what time the game is, are any of the starters on the field, that kind of thing. Normally, not anything to write home about. This game between England and France was the complete opposite of that. That normally does not happen. What even was that game? I mean, 6-4 is hardly a score that you see in a regular knockout match or a regular like group stage World Cup game, much less a third place contest. But here we are. England versus France. England, I guess, has figured out how to play in the heat and humidity of South Florida in Miami. Whatever it was, they came out on top. They've got their bronze medals, going home with the bronze, scoring 6 goals to France's 4. England came out to play for real in that first half, especially, while France, like, were they asleep? Were they on strike? Was it that they swapped out like 7 people from their starting 11 for this game? Were they emotional or something because it was their coach's last game before retirement? I don't know. Whatever it was, it resulted in them giving up 4 goals in the first half, which is a new record for France. You hate to see it. For England, Declan Rice had a good game. He scored a beautiful goal in the 30th minute to kick things off. Bukayo Saka had a fantastic game. He had a hat trick, plus I think he had an assist in there as well. There were some reports that he might have still been coming back from an injury, or the coach just wasn't like feeling putting him in for half the tournament. Either way, he starts this game versus France, and he definitely put an exclamation point on the end of his run with England in this World Cup. So, shout out to him. Fantastic game. He looks really good. Jude Bellingham subbed on in the second half, late in the second half, and he got a goal off of a really nice run to ice off the game. That's his 7th of this World Cup, setting an England record for most goals in a single World Cup. I think he really put himself on the map during this tournament in terms of becoming one of those like upper echelon guys who people recognize outside of like just regular soccer circles. For France, that first half was a disaster for their midfield and defense. They looked kind of like training cones out there at some points. It felt like England was just slicing and dicing through them however they wanted, running away on the break, just running straight through the middle of the field. Not a good look. The offense wasn't actually that bad. They missed a couple of really good chances that probably would have changed the game and made it so that they didn't look like they were completely losing the plot, especially at the end of that first half. Things definitely almost fully got away from them, but they came out in the second half, made some subs, looked like a completely different team. Michael Olise got 2 assists. That brings him to 7 total in this World Cup, breaking Pele's record for most assists in a World Cup. Mbappe scored twice. He's now the World Cup record holder for goals. He's got 22 goals in 22 World Cup matches. That's an insane stat. And he's only in his late 20s. He could easily play a couple more World Cups. Unbelievable stuff from Mbappe, making it 3 World Cups in his career, and he's got more in the tank. So just crazy. But yeah, France came roaring back in the second half. 3 unanswered goals, but just didn't have the juice to climb out of the hole that they dug themselves at the beginning of that game. Like I said earlier, Jude Bellingham iced off the game at the end. And what a crazy way to end 2 really good World Cup runs from England and France. France will be kicking themselves that they didn't make it to the final. England, I think, will be proud and disappointed, but it seems like they're always disappointed with how far they get or don't get. But they had a much better tournament than I was expecting out of them. So I think there's a lot of good to be said there as they sort of break down what happens after the fact. But yeah, what a game. It just goes to show you that you never truly know what's going to happen at the World Cup. And it's one of the reasons why it's so fun watching these games. Just the best in the world. And sometimes things get crazy. And it's definitely one of the games of the tournament, if not one of the craziest games of all time. All right, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for listening to Center Circle. Just a quick housekeeping note before we get out of here. Now that the World Cup is wrapped up, the next few episodes of the pod are going to serve as a bit of a retrospective on the tournament and feature some very special guests that I'm very excited to have on, so stay tuned for that. If you liked what you heard so far, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating if you feel so inclined. Share it with a friend who loves soccer or who's getting into soccer right now. Helps the show out a ton, and we can get into this thing together. If you're into the social media thing, you can find the show on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Center Circle Soccer Pod, and Blue Sky at Center Circle Sock Pod. That's SOC Pod. And if you have questions or suggestions for me for things to talk about, send me a DM or an email at centercirclesoccerpod@gmail.com. Music and artwork for this podcast are by me. And until next time, stay breezy, drink some water, watch some soccer, and I'll see you next time. Deuces.